Hello, once again, I welcome you to Marriage Without Tears channel. We are looking at a topic that is simply titled Surviving a Bad Marriage Without the Option of a Divorce. Many times, a whole lot of people feel that once there is a bad marriage or when there is a challenge or a kind of problem in a marriage, that the consequence is either a separation or a divorce. But it doesn't have to be so. There is also a whole lot of people who may decide on their own to, receive the kind of information that will enable them to weather the storm. Because whether you like it or not, once you're in a relationship, there are bound to be some peculiar challenges. So if you decide to opt out of your own through a divorce, what is the guarantee that the one you are going to meet in the future, the one out there that you intend to join again with, what is the guarantee that you will not have even greater challenges than the one you are presently facing? So there is the need for us to actually sit back and see whether there is a way we can survive and overcome some of the challenges and problems that are inherent in our own relationship. The moment you overcome it, you get to the next pedestal, which is a more glorious and more blissful marriage. So there is a need for us to understand how to do this. And that is the essence of the production today. How to survive a bad marriage without the option of a divorce. Most often you may discover that you love your spouse so much that even a life without them, you can't even begin to conceive it. But now something has happened that is challenging the root or the core essence of your marriage. And somehow it appears as if, from all manner of counsel from friends and all that, you are trying to opt for a divorce. It may not be so. So please listen to me attentively, and I will be able to give you some of the nuggets, some of the things you can do to overcome that challenge and then enter into a glorious future. Once again, my name is Felix Okeke. I am your counselor and coach. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do that immediately. There's a red button by my side. Click on it and get subscribed. Because this is the place where we actually offer the kind of information that will give essence, that will give joy, that will give you the necessary skills to run a very effectual and effective marriage and family relationship. So please, join me. Let us do this together. The first thing you must do if you are in a bad marriage right now is to acknowledge the fact that there is a problem in your marriage. A whole lot of people don't do this. They rather sweep the problem under the carpet, and they continue sweeping it until it becomes a molehill that they are no longer able to contend with. The moment you are able to understand that the challenge is just the starting point, be able to pinpoint that very particular challenge. What is the cause of the rift? Why is there so much disenchantment, so much resentment, so much anger, so much boiled up emotional challenge in your marriage? Why is that so? What is bringing this kind of atmosphere in your marriage? You must be able to identify it. Is it because of a betrayal of trust in your marriage? Is it because of lack of support from your spouse? Is it because of ignorance? Is it because of a lack of wisdom? Is it because of lack of communication? You must be able to identify it, because the moment you identify it, it becomes easier for you to solve. The reality is that a whole lot of people cannot just sit back and identify this problem, and when you ask them, they just tell you that they are disenchanted, that the love is already gone. But something made the love to get away, because from the onset of your marriage, it was full of joy, it was full of love, it was full of passion, it was full of joyful expectations, it was full of supportive role between the spouses. So for it to degenerate to the level it is now, something happened along the way. So you must be able to, pinpoint what exactly happened or what is happening, so that we can start the process of amending the situation. That's the first thing you need to do. The second thing you need to do when you are facing a problem in your marriage is to focus on self-improvement, self-care. There's a tendency for you to be pointing accusing fingers at your husband or your wife, not knowing actually that you yourself have degenerated to a level where you are no longer acceptable by your mate. Check yourself properly. If there is an area of deficiency or an area that needs improvement in your own life, Focus on that. Possibly you have taken the relationship for granted and you are no longer, communicating the way you should. Improve on your communication. Possibly because you were no longer in courtship and you used to look very neat, very presentable, very wonderful, very appealing, but over a period of time after the marriage, you no longer care about yourself. You can go out with a one wrapper tied and you are going out even with your mouth not brushed. There are so many things you need to check yourself. And of course, somehow your spouse may be angry or having resentment inside of him simply because you are no longer supportive in your role as a wife or as a husband. Check yourself. There's this tendency for you to begin to point at your spouse, because I have counseled a whole lot of people who are having problems in marriage. As a matter of fact, hundreds and even 1,000 of them. And there's always, it's always one, pointing, accusing finger at the other. And when you finally meet the spouse, you discover that, the spouse is doing the same thing concerning the wife or the husband. So you need to check yourself before you go on a frontal attack. Check yourself. If there are deficiencies in yourself, if there are areas of default, if there are things you need to amend, if there are, areas you need to add value, you begin to do that immediately. Because as you begin to do that, your spouse will begin to perceive that there is a change in how you used to behave, how you used to act. There's a change. The change will reflect in your attitude, in your lifestyle. It's very, very important that you do a self-audit at this point in time. The third thing you need to do when you are having major challenges in your marriage is to set boundaries. Set boundaries. Be clear about the conversations you don't need to enter. Because if you discover that anytime you enter into that area of conversation, to an area of communication with your spouse, that it tends to draw bitterness and anger in him, please cut it off, or at least know how to enter it without being aggressive. If you discover over a period of time that you're spending much time with your spouse is aggravating the situation, all you need to do is to limit the time you are spending with him or her and then pursue other things. There are boundaries you must set. If you discover that this relationship is getting worse every day as a result of a particular action or inaction, you have to watch it. Set boundaries. There's need for you to set boundaries in your attitudes, in your behaviors, in your actions. Set boundaries. There must be a limit to which you cannot, cross over. I have seen situations whereby a woman continued doing the same thing all over again and expecting a different result. And as a matter of fact, it became worse and worse until the parties just parted ways. I have seen situations where the man kept abusing the wife without taking care to look at the situation on the ground. I mean, as a man, a woman, when you discover that this is an area that draws conflict, that draws, sadness, anger into the relationship, you need to set boundaries. You need to tell yourself, there's a limit I cannot cross concerning this area. So that is what it means about setting boundaries. Set boundaries in every area. Know very well that, there is a need for you to stop that thing that is happening and then do a reversal before ever you can get joy back into your relationship. What we are still discussing this hour is how to survive a bad marriage without the option of a divorce. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so immediately. There is a red button by my side. Click on it and get subscribed. The fourth one is for you to seek support group. Seek support, because a problem shared is a problem half solved. If you discover that you are having this major challenge and it is deteriorating, you need to seek out for people who know how to, who can give you honest advice, people whom you can share this burden with. It could be your parents, it could be your best of friends, but there must be people who possibly have, gone through that kind of challenge and have overcome. These are the kind of people you must share your problems with. It could be an elderly couple that you trust their marriage. Somebody that can sit you down and say, please, Let us see how we can walk out of this predicament. It could be even in your church. But there must be people that you can link up to that can enable you, by encouragement to, get out of this kind of sadness you are facing. You can share that with your pastor if you trust him, and if you can weigh his own marriage in the balance and find it profitable, then you can, open up to him or her. Tell him what is going on in your life. Anybody that is close to you, that you can vouch for their authenticity, that you can vouch for their honesty and integrity of heart, these are the people you share your burden with. And then I believe that as they begin to, pray with you, you can even share with your intercessory group, your prayer group, your prayer network. As they put it in prayer, as they begin to, as you harness all your physical and spiritual energies together, it will give you enough, you have enough foundation to weather the storm. That is what we are talking about. So look for a support group. Look for somebody that you can share your burdens with. Look for somebody that you trust his own or her own marriage, that you can actually share your burden with. Somebody that can offer you honest counsel. Somebody that can help you weather the storm. These are the people that I consider profitable, support groups. Very, very important. And of course, the fifth thing you need to do is to open up a channel of quality communication with your spouse. I know at this point in time it can be very difficult, but if you have done what I have told you from number 1 to number 4, then the fifth one will be easier. Open and honest communication with him. Make sure that you don't go into communication with a sense of aggravation, with a sense of aggression. No. Don't allow yourself to be angry, even at the worst of worst. No. But calmly enter into a communication with him. Use the I, I, instead of you, because you tend to make, the person become defensive. I'll give you an example. You can say to your spouse, I feel very sad when I see you driving off, to go and spend time with to spend time with your friends when you should actually spend time with me. I feel so sad. I feel so sad that you no longer come home to join us during dinner. Most of the time, I and the children will end up taking dinner, and then you saunter into the house by the wee hour, way into the night. I feel sad about it. These are the I. Use the I statement. But when you say to him, you always drive off in the evening. Where do you normally go? You have made your spouse to become defensive. And in trying to be defensive, you can never get the right result. So that's why I mean by using the I instead of you. Open up a conversation line with him, a communication line with him, so that in the midst of communication, both of you can become vulnerable towards one another and open up the real essence, what is actually wrong in your relationship. And then you can make up your mind to begin to build together again. Possibly it is because you are no longer praying together. As you are discussing openly and joyfully together, it begins to, either spouse begin to feel that there is something missing somewhere that needs to be reprocessed. So those are the things. A good communication is very, very important. And effectual communication is very, very important at this period in time. And then the sixth thing you need to do as I'm talking to you now is to make forgiveness a priority in your relationship. No matter who you are as an individual, there is always room for forgiveness. There's always room for empathy. There's always room for forgiveness. A good marriage is a union of two great forgivers. If you don't know how to forgive your spouse, it is difficult for you to run an effectual marriage. The reality is that the grass is never green on the other side. You may think that, when you drop this person and jump into the next boat, it will be uhuru. It is not always so. Every human being has their peculiar challenges. And if you can adopt forgiveness, then reconciliation can become easy. When you forgive, a new joy enters into your spirit. The negativism you have always felt will simply disappear. And all that is there is how to reconcile, how to bring back the joy, how to bring back the rhythm, how to bring back the excitement. That is what comes in when there is a forgiving heart. You must know how to offer forgiveness And you must also know how to grant forgiveness when it is given to you by your spouse. You can go to the earlier edition I did on how to offer and grant forgiveness. It's in our playlist. Very wonderful production indeed. Go there, check how to actually live in forgiveness. Very, very important. Very, very important. And the seventh thing you need to do, from now henceforth, begin to discover common ground. There is a common ground. There's a place of agreement between you and your spouse. Otherwise, you will not be married in the first place. There is something you saw in him. There is something you saw in her that actually warmed you up to that vessel. And I can tell you that those things you saw are still there. But because of the situation and the challenges you have faced over a period of time, you no longer see those virtues. The virtues are still there. If you can make up your mind to begin to rediscover one another and begin to look onto your strengths instead of your weaknesses, if you begin to align forces once again and begin to gather yourself once again, you will rediscover common ground. You will discover that beauty you had from the beginning. The beauty is still there, but somehow over a period of time, because of anger, resentment, and all manner of unworthiness, you have already closed that thing. You can open it up again. You can open joy once again. You can open peace once again into your marriage. You can bring back that joy that seems to have been lost. Rediscover common ground. Very, very important. Very, very important. And if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, like I used to say, please, I will appreciate it if you can click on this red button by my side. Look at it here. Click on it, get subscribed, and be part of this wonderful channel. And your marriage will never be the same. I guarantee you that. You will also take the privilege of looking at so many other videos we have done in this channel. 170 of them. Wonderful videos on sex and all manner of areas concerning marriage. And you will be edified, and your marriage will become more productive and more blissful. So click on this red button, get subscribed. I will give you 3 more, and then we'll round up. So yes, the 8th one I want to say right now is that you must begin to invest seriously in counseling. What do I mean by that? Look for people who are gifted in the art of marriage therapy. A marriage counselor that can sit down, look at your challenges objectively, without being biased. Looks at whatever you are feeling objectively and is able to dissect your marriage and pinpoint the challenges you are facing and provide solutions that will make you get out of the pit. Very important. Invest in counseling. You can also do that by getting in contact with an elderly couple who can also advise you well based on their years of experience in marriage. It's also important. You can also help yourself by getting involved in marriage seminars. Marriage seminars is very, very wonderful. Find places where it can be in your church, it can be any other place. Marriage seminars are very, very important. When you are in a marriage seminar, you will learn things. You will learn things. And when you get home and put them in practice, you will see a total reversal, total joy being restored in your marriage. So invest in counseling. You can also do that by buying books. There are books that have to do with marriage and certain aspects of marriage. It will help you because the information gotten from other sources, especially specialists in those areas. It could be sex, it could be communication, it could be all manner of areas concerning marriage. It could be spiritual growth. When you are a reader, you will become a leader. So invest in books, invest in materials, invest in videos. Take advantage of the resources around you. Take advantage of it. And then see your marriage blossom once again. It's not just about seeking knowledge. No, it's about putting in practice every knowledge you have learned. The goal is to make your marriage productive. The goal is to make your marriage blissful. The goal is to make your marriage be restored to that original intention you had before you went into that marriage with your spouse. That is the goal. And you must achieve it to the glory of God. The 9th one I want to say right now is that you should sometimes also weigh the options before you. If you are always asking, what do I do to get this marriage working again? If that is your area of focus, what do I do to get this marriage working again? How can I invest in this marriage to make it work again? How can I support my wife? How can I support my husband to restore the joy? What part do I need to play in order to get this marriage working again? When we were married, when we were married, the first weeks or the first months or the first years of our marriage, when it was full of bliss, what was I doing then that I'm no longer doing now? That is what it means by weighing up the options. So you must begin to weigh the options. You must begin to look at your marriage critically. Begin to check those days that it was blissful and now. What are the differences? What are the differences? What was I doing then that I'm no longer doing now? And how can I begin to do them again? That is what I mean by weighing up the options. The options around you must be weighed. It must be weighed. Weigh your marriage in the balance and look at what you need to do in order to get your marriage working again. And before I give you the 10th one, which is the final one, I want to ask you again, please click on this red button, get subscribed, and be part of this wonderful channel week after week as I give you the 10th one. The 10th one simply is find a new purpose, find a new hobby, find a new vision, something that can take most of your time. Something that can take your energy, something that can make you to look away from that marriage for a season and begin to pay more attention on how to actualize the dreams you had from the beginning. Somehow it might be that vision you had that was making the woman to go after you, or that made you to go after that woman. That wonderful vision that you were pursuing, the zeal. Now you don't have the zeal, and all you are engrossed on and in how to make him or her happy. No. When you have done what you have said from number 1 to number 9 and it's not yet working, then focus on a new vision. Begin to pursue a vision. Let the woman chase you for a season. Or the other way around, let the man chase you for a season. Because somehow the chasing game have come to an end. He's no longer chasing. Instead of chasing you, he or she is now running away from you. Make him or her chase you once again. Because when you get involved in a new passion, in a new vision, and he discovers that the center of your life is no longer how to make him happy, but how to make your vision prosper, how to make that which God has given you to do, how to make it blossom. When he discovers that it's no longer about you, it's all about eternity, it's all about what God has given him to do, it's all about the central vision of his life. Nobody will tell him or her to do a reversal and pursue you once again, because this is a visionary on the move. This is a visionary on the move. So find a new purpose and pursue it, and at the end every other thing will come back to normal, I tell you. But that marriage, you can be in it and still be fulfilled. You can still be in it and find a new joy. You can still be in it and find new vision. You can still be in, you don't need to part ways. No, you don't need to part ways. Just do some of the things I've told you, and I can tell you, at the end of the day, you will have me and God to thank for it. You are blessed. I love you. I love you. I love your marriage. I love your family, and that is why we are doing this. And please, before you walk away or click away, take time and subscribe to my channel. Take time to meditate on some of the things I've said. And if there are things you think we should touch, please, I want to have your comment on the comment section, and it will be my pleasure to deal with that subject. Once again, I thank you for taking our time to watch this edition, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have an awesome time.